Washington, this is VOA News. I'm Ray Kouguell reporting. Diplomatic efforts heat up to solve Ukraine crisis. President Obama says providing Ukraine with lethal defensive weapons in its fight against Russia-backed separatists remains an option, but that no decision has yet been made. During a joint news conference at the White House Monday with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, Mr. Obama said Russia is continuing its aggression against Ukraine, sending in tanks and artillery to support separatists in violation of last September's ceasefire agreement. President Obama says he is asking his team to look at all options if diplomacy fails to resolve the conflict, and that he and Chancellor Merkel continue to encourage a diplomatic solution. European Union foreign ministers have agreed to postpone further sanctions against Russia for a week to give time for a peace push to defuse the crisis in Ukraine. Lisa Bryant reports.
The European Union ministers meeting in Brussels made it clear their decision to delay new sanctions against Russia did not mean repealing them. In remarks to reporters following the talks on Monday, EU Foreign Policy Chief Federica Mogherini said the move aimed to give a space for a hoped-for summit on Wednesday in Minsk. What counted, she said, were results.
Our priority is to have the situation on the ground improving.
The EU ministers are waiting to see the outcome of a summit they hope will take place on Wednesday in the Belarusian capital among heads of state from Russia, Ukraine, France, and Germany. Lisa Bryant, Paris.
More deadly violence in Iraq. A pair of bombings killed at least 15 people in and near the capital Baghdad on Monday, including a suicide blast in a mainly Shiite section of Baghdad. There's been no claim of responsibility. This is VOA News. UN-brokered talks aimed at resolving the political crisis in Yemen resumed Monday, but two parties promptly walked out. Islah, an opposition party merging Islamist and tribal interests, and the smaller pan-Arab Nasserist organization quit the talks, saying they had been threatened by a Houthi representative. The negotiations are aimed at resolving the political crisis in the volatile Arabian Peninsula state. Shiite Houthis captured the capital last September and took over the government last week. Nigeria's Boko Haram militants launched new attacks in Niger and Cameroon Monday as the group's leader vowed to defeat soldiers fighting the group. Witnesses say Boko Haram gunmen attacked a prison in the southeastern Niger town of Diffa, but were driven back by Niger's army. There was no word on casualties or whether any prisoners escaped. Reports from northern Cameroon say militants seized a bus with at least 18 people on board. The Parliament of Somalia approved a new cabinet Monday, just hours after gunmen shot and killed one of its members. Abdullahi Kayod Barra was gunned down in the capital, Mogadishu. The attackers escaped, and the al-Qaeda-linked militant group al-Shabaab claimed responsibility for the shooting. Despite the killing, Parliament did meet and endorse the cabinet of Prime Minister Omar Abdul-Rashid Sharmarki. Egypt suspended all major football games in the country and ordered an investigation into a violent clash in a Cairo suburb Sunday between security forces and football fans that left more than 20 people dead. Sunday's violence broke out when police fired tear gas and birdshot into a corridor of fans trying to get into Air Defense Stadium. Russian President Vladimir Putin is on a two-day visit to Egypt. Edward Uranian reports from Cairo.
Russian President Putin's visit to Egypt comes at a time of strong political turbulence for both nations. Commentators in Moscow and Cairo are talking about a political, economic, and military rapprochement reminiscent of an earlier era. Egypt's red carpet welcome for Vladimir Putin marks what analysts in Cairo say is a growing need for the Arab world's largest state to seek outside support in its conflict against terrorists in the Sinai and elsewhere. Edward Uranian for VOA News, Cairo.
The Northeast United States was slammed again Monday with a third major snowstorm in 2 weeks. The National Weather Service issued winter storm warnings from central New York State through northern Connecticut, Massachusetts, and southern New Hampshire. In the New England city of Boston, Massachusetts, residents woke up to as much as 30 centimeters of new snow. Boston received over 1.7 meters of snow this winter, most of it in the past 2 weeks. I'm Ray Kouguell in Washington.
That's the latest world news from VOA.